Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Welcome back, Peter.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
Today is the first day where I feel absolutely fine.
Good.
I'm clearing my throat a lot, just audibly, but I don't feel anything at all. I feel nothing, just like I used to before
Totally
COVID.
numb.
Yeah.
Just a shell of a man, which is how things should be. But yes, I did have COVID plops post New Year, as did you, Ben.
I did,
Managed to not miss a podcast.
Just made it back in time for the podcast.
Yeah, but I'm doing much better now. Thank you.
Good. Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year to both of you.
Thank you.
How are you feeling, Ashton?
Fine, yeah.
Great.
I didn't get sick, so
Yeah.
dodged it
Yet.
yet.
There's still time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
hopefully
luckily, I
not.
don't really go anywhere apart from my house and here.
Mm-hmm.
So least likely to get COVID. And I drive my car, so it's just
Yeah.
me in my car.
Little safety bubble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Though next week I am getting on the metro more, so maybe I have to wear a mask because I am a bit scared about getting COVID again. But I don't
Yeah.
have any masks left from post-COVID.
Oh,
era.
really? I got
Yeah.
loads. I'll give you some.
There's probably
masks.
some in a cupboard somewhere. But
I found a really soggy mask
Yeah.
in the bottom of my bag because
Oh.
it just sits. It's been sat in the bottom of my bag, just in case I need it again, which
Yeah.
I haven't.
Mm.
And then when I've been cycling in, or when my bag gets wet, it's been the thing that I've forgotten about at the bottom, and I took it out and I was like, "Oh, this smells really bad."
Yeah. Oh.
I would never want to put that
That
on
is
my
so
face.
gross.
Just a little piece of wet fabric
Oh,
that's
no.
been
Just
road
in there
water.
for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
really bad. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about video games because this is our video game podcast. And each and every week, we are sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. They help us keep the lights on here. Any sign of Dead Island 2 the Spider?
No,
Uh,
it's not been here for a while now.
Oh no.
No, it doesn't
I'm sort of
look like it.
desperately. He's got to be in here.
He'll be back in the
surely.
spring.
He will. It won't be long before we see Dead Island 2 the Spider again.
No.
I'm certain of it. Oh, and by the way, the flooding is now, it's sorted. We're
Yeah.
all good. We're in business again. We're able to record in there. We streamed in there this week. James streamed in there last week, so that's all absolutely fine. But yes, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor. Helps us keep the lights on here and look for Dead Island 2 the Spider. Peter Austin, do you have the ad read in front of you there?
I've got it right here. Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
You know they made loads of them already. Probably more than you remember. You might think they've only made like 2 of them, but actually they've made about 7. That film / video game crossover by Bandai Namco, where Liam Neeson goes and he has a very special set of skills.
Yes.
He rescues his child / his son, who he threw off a cliff. That's right. Coming soon. It's Taken 8.
Taken
Taken
8.
8.
They've made 7 already.
Wow.
I bet there are probably that many. There are that many Taken films, obviously, because there is the 8th one coming out. But I'm going to check right now how many Taken films there are. 'cause
There are
how
7.
many times can
Well, there was
someone
also
get
a Taken tag tournament as well, where
Yeah,
Liam Neeson
yeah,
and a
the
friend
extra one.
does
Yeah.
a couple of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
How many are there, Ben?
I found the Wikipedia for Taken, also titled 96 Hours and The Hostage. Apparently.
Really?
Oh, well, no one knows that, do they?
96 Hours and the Hostage.
Yeah, maybe in different languages. I don't know. I'm
Yeah, I
desperately
guess so.
trying to-
Taken 8, eh? Does it play this similarly to hit game Tekken 8?
No, it's of absolutely no relation to
Right.
that whatsoever.
How does it play?
It's like a third-person action adventure where you play as a
Ah.
Liam Neeson man with a gun.
Do you get to
and
answer
go-
the phone?
You answer the phone. That's in the opening cutscene.
Right, yeah.
You make threatening remarks down the phone about your skills.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're
It's
going to
the
kill
first use
someone.
of EA's voice
Yeah.
to...
Yeah, Liam
Yeah.
Neeson wanted no involvement in it at all, but they
Yeah.
were like, "Hey,
You
who
can
cares?
voice him."
We've already
Yeah.
got the AI."
You found out?
Yeah, there are 3 movies
3. I thought there
and
were
a
2.
TV show.
Right.
TV show, eh?
Okay.
Apparently, yeah.
Well, it's not real.
Oh.
Wikipedia dobbed on you there. I'm sorry.
Ah.
It really told on you.
it did.
No Taken 8.
No.
That's really sad.
The Tekken 8's real.
Is it?
It
Are you
is.
sure?
Maybe.
Well, it's supposed
Don't
to
know.
be. Don't know.
Liam Nishima.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that kind of work? Who cares?
think
Who
so.
knows?
No, we're not sponsored by Taken 8. We're sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. There's never been more of you, and the water's fine. So get on in.
Yeah.
If you go there and support us, you'll be able to get access to early episodes of Weirdest and Worst Games. You get exclusive access to Rules Boss and Main Menu. You get to ask questions on this podcast. There's other tiers, like our exclusive podcast, After Dark. You can listen to that and submit questions for that. Flipping loads of stuff. Go check it out. Patreon.com/Team TripleJump. TripleJump is our website. That's where you can find links to everything that we do: YouTube, Twitch, Discord, our Cameo. If you want a message from us, our shop is TripleJumpShop.com. I know I said it last time that we're getting really close to the finish line here, but we are getting really close to the finish line here. I promise. There will be new merch soon, but we are wearing some merch. You're wearing a nice hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a track jacket and the hoodie because it's so cold in the
Yeah.
office. And Peter's wearing an old hoodie.
Yeah, and also an old shirt. Although, is this still
It's
available?
the same
I think
as this
so.
one. I think it's still available.
Yeah.
I think that
I think it
shirt's still
probably is.
available. TripleJumpShop.com for that. Patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Thank you so much. Ashton, there's something out on the channel this week, isn't there?
There is. It is a weirdest games ever week, and this one is definitely weird. If you are watching just on YouTube, you will see a lot of blurring and censoring for many reasons. But if you watched it on Patreon already, you'll know the reasons why. And there's many reasons it couldn't go on YouTube as is. We played Leisure Suit Larry, Magna Cum Laude.
Yeah.
And it was
The worst one.
interesting.
Ciaran had to keep uploading it to YouTube, seeing if it got flagged for inappropriate content, which it kept doing, and then had to go back to the drawing board and blur even more stuff. So
Yeah.
I've not actually seen the final version of it yet to see how blurry it is. On
It might
YouTube,
just be
but-
a sort of opaque
Yeah.
rectangle with us sat in front going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Whoa.
There was
But-
a few times that even with blurring it, it still looked
Still pretty
bad.
obvious.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But as Ashton says, if you are on Patreon, you will have already seen it. And if
The
you're not on
uncensored
Patreon,
version.
and if you want to see the uncensored version and you're not a patron yet, then maybe consider spending $5 to see that and get all the other rewards as well.
But that's out tomorrow. But there's something already out on the channel, isn't there?
Potentially, yes.
yeah.
I'm hoping it'll be done in time at the time of recording. It's the next episode of the True Story of series that we have liberally stolen from Cultaholic. And that is the true story of E.T.'s Desert Burial. Desert Burial.
Yes, if you could.
All about the Atari 2600 game E.T., which famously was a big factor in the video game crash of 1983 in the United States. It's a deep dive on the topic. I played the game, so I can give my thoughts on it as well. It's rubbish,
It is.
which
Oh,
might be
no.
a surprise.
Yeah.
Kat
What?
wrote a fantastic script for this, and if it's not out this week, it'll be out really soon. But hopefully, it should be out right now on the channel. You can go watch it. Learn a bit about that event, what happened, which is a big deal. So there we are. It's time for question one.
This question comes from Alan Kelly. Hope you're married, Alan and Kelly. Dearest Bap, having just watched and thoroughly enjoyed Mr. Glenn Howerton in Blackberry, I was wondering if there is any period in gaming history that you would love to see translated to the big or small screen, be that the rise and fall of a console, a games franchise, or just any wacky and interesting personalities who've been in the space for a long time. Many thanks and many kisses, Al. Thanks, Al. For
Thanks, Al.
context, for those who didn't know, Blackberry this is taken directly from Wikipedia, is a 2003 Canadian biological comedy drama film directed by Matt Johnson from a script by Johnson and producer Matthew Miller. It was loosely adapted from Jackie McNish and Sean Silkoff's book, Losing the Signal, the untold story behind the extraordinary rise and spectacular fall of Blackberry.
Ah,
Long title.
okay. It was from that long ago.
Catchy name.
Apparently.
2003. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was from more recently.
I
given
thought
that,
it was
It
as
has
well,
Glenn
but-
Howerton in, but
Yeah.
Well, there we are.
No, 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
Sorry, I might have
So it is
misheard.
recent,
I thought you
but-
said 2003.
Yeah, I thought I was having a stroke.
Last year. That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I never know if if I'm just hearing things wrong. When you say it, I'm like, well, Ben must have heard it right because I always struggle to.
Well, just then when
know.
he said 2003, I thought he said 2023.
Yeah, it's that
Then
whole
I realised,
thing.
hang on.
Last year. It
Yeah.
came out
Play
last year.
mental ping pong. With
Cool. Yeah, what's
myself.
happening? Hello? Is there a gas leak in?
Maybe.
But yes, I would like to, so it depends how like sort of dramatized and over egged it was, but I think there could be a fun story in a biopic about Peter Molyneux. And the
yeah.
teams working under him as he goes live on some broadcast and says stuff about acorns and trees.
What's the show with God, I can't remember his name now. The Doctor Who actor who's related to the singer.
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
Peter
sorry.
Capaldi.
I'm doing like
He's not related to the singer.
Is he not actually?
They just have the same surname.
Oh, for some reason I thought he was. Okay, anyway, I'm leaping backwards through references to try and get to the show.
Peter Capaldi
what's Peter Capaldi's?
the thick of it.
The thick of it.
Yeah,
It's sort of like
that would
that,
be
but
good.
with Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, just sort of the people who work beneath him.
Oh, you'll never know what he's bloody said.
Yeah,
now. Yeah,
that
they're
could be good.
desperately trying to clean up after him.
Or in a similar vein, there could be a good documentary / docudrama about the development of No Man's Sky. Again, because of promises that were made and not followed through with.
Yes.
So those are some that I'd quite like to see.
Similarly, but a little more recent, I would love like an Office style, like, or even like an edgy documentary where they're like, it's got like that guy who's always on the streets with his bald head. Ross Kemp? No. Yeah.
Ross Kemp, yeah.
Ross
Yeah.
Kemp on.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like him to go and do a documentary about like what happened with the day before and just like be in the offices and be like, this idiot has just deleted all the assets.
I felt that things were about to kick off, so I got out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Or do you know what I would love? I would love, and this is definitely more like The Office, the making of the Borderlands movie.
Oh my
I just want to
God,
see like, because we've seen nothing about it yet, and all I want is just more information about this movie. And I would love to see like everyone dealing with Randy Pitchford as like this Michael Scott type character who's like, "Hey guys, let's do it," and everyone else.
You want
is
to
like,
see some magic?
What, doing magic?
Yeah, and they're
Look
all
at my shirt today.
yeah. And they're all in like the casting room and they've got like all of these perfect Rolands in front of them. And then someone's like, Kevin Hart? What about Kevin Hart?
Yeah. Tall, handsome Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I would really like, I would really like something about that. Just because I'm so intrigued by this movie. I literally can't wait because I think it's going to be a steaming hot pile of trash.
Oh, it can't be good, right?
And I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
It's just it's got such big names in it.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that for us not to have seen a single thing so far. I hope it doesn't get like written off as a tax thing. But I'm really excited to watch it for the same reason I was excited to watch the Uncharted movie. Someone said to me over Christmas, like, "Oh, I watched the Uncharted movie. It wasn't very good, was it?" And I was like, "I loved that movie because it was rubbish.
Yeah.
So good. I can't wait for the next one whenever that comes out."
Truly, that movie, the Uncharted movie, is one of the movies of all time, and I just think it's great.
Yeah, awful. I think maybe some kind of it would have to be like a dramatization of the whole No Man's Sky situation, about how about this guy who runs this tiny indie company, indie games developer, and then like their new game blows up, and he like the pressure gets to him, and he just lies, and then he basically just gets called out on all these and all the difficult times they go through, and so on. But it would have to be it would have to show like the dark and ugly side of people. Like it can't be a flattering movie. The worst case scenario for all these kinds of films is that it becomes a bit like self-flating and propaganda-y.
Trying to like humanize like whoever it's about. Like I can imagine a horrible Bobby Kotick documentary
exactly.
where it's like, he was really it was difficult for him though. No.
And they cut to his mum, who was like, "He's just a nice boy."
Just a nice boy, yeah. My go-to example is always the FIFA movie that they made about themselves, where they were like, "God, we're brilliant," and they just swept all of the nasty stuff under the rug, and like they had famous actors come in to play themselves, and it was like, this is one of the most horrible, like self-congratulatory, backslapping propaganda movies about how great FIFA is. It's awful, awful stuff. So it would like really need to get into the weeds and like not be afraid to cast these people in a bad light. It needs to do that. Similar situation with maybe Minecraft. Like following Notch.
Yeah.
And
that would be an interesting story, actually.
Have someone play Notch in that. And I mean, I don't know what he's up to now. Probably just enjoying his billions and being hateful.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he's up to. Another one that I just thought of, because his story is so interesting, is Dylan Cuthbert, who is currently, I think he's still working as, he's the president and managing director of Q Games, who did the Pixel Junk series, which some of you may be familiar with, but he got his start as just like a teenage coder in the early 90s and like went out to Nintendo and helped design Star Fox and stuff.
Right.
And he's still in Japan, and I just think his story is fascinating, and like in a similar sort of, we've seen a lot of these movies recently like Tetris and stuff, just sort of like a period piece of this this is just a term. I don't know if he actually was spotty. A spotty teenager, like who just gets plucked from obscurity and just like come to Nintendo and work with Miyamoto on Star Fox and stuff. And I think that would be super fascinating. I'd love to.
Well, and to call back as well to earlier in the podcast, I bet there would be a really good film in the ET debacle as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Probably.
I thought of another one while you're talking, but it's gone. I would like a horror movie about how Jeff Keighley killed E3.
Okay.
And he's like the villain, and he's like an evil genius type character, and you've just got like a little. And this is obviously like completely incorrect and just a big stupid dramatization, but I would love it if he's like, and then we'll hold our event at the same time.
No.
And they will crumble before me.
The lightning and the thunder.
Yeah.
You sort of have the roguish folk hero of the stage invader trying to like take down Jeff Keighley, but he's stopped.
And he's got like his like wizard type character as Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
He flips a switch and Jeff Keighley's monster awakens and he
Yeah.
goes, "It's alive!" And it's like half like
It's an
live
advert.
service game.
Yeah.
There's like a Monster Energy drink hand.
He's got a honky star rail.
Muppet's head.
Yeah. Muppets.
yeah.
His
got
feet are
Gonzo's
minis.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, Pot Boy is also there, part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awful. Anthony Mackie's
Yeah.
some ears are on it.
And everywhere he goes, there's just orchestral music playing. Because, you know,
He's just followed around by that guy who's really intense. In
the
orchestra.
well, I was going to say
The
the
wind
bongo
instrument
plays
guy.
everything.
Yeah.
He's so
Plays the
good.
wind instrument.
Best-
Coolest guy ever.
Best musician of all time.
Yeah.
There we are. There's some wonderful ideas.
Yeah.
It's now time for a new section, Ashton.
Yeah. New year, new segment.
What?
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
We
I don't know
bring
about
something
this.
new.
Sorry, well, you
were
weren't here
off,
last
so,
week, so we
you had
we sort of tried
COVID
it
or
out.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
like you were pretending. Anyway, it's time for a new segment that we are calling "What We Playin'."
Oh. It's what we play in time. Time to talk about the games what we have been playing. Peter, what have you been playing?
Well, it's just as well I wasn't here last week because last week I didn't play anything and because I was not well. And this week I've mostly been catching up on the things that I couldn't do last week. But I can still tell you about what I played over Christmas.
Yes.
Yes,
so
please,
that's fine.
Peter.
I played lots of party games with my brother and sister-in-law who are even younger than you. Wow.
Whoa.
Really young.
What? That's
Yeah.
not possible. No one's younger than me.
Yeah, you're the newest
How?
person on earth. So they still have a Wii, and we played the Wii, and we played Wii Sports Resort.
Nice.
We played like the board game ones where you go around like a jungle island, and there's like Globetrot and the Wheel of Fortune. I don't know what any of them are called. I was bad at some of the mini games. They were really good. I felt like a granddad. But hey, I had a good time regardless. And we played Super Mario Brothers Wii. I
Yeah.
get so mixed up with all of the different Mario games, but that's an obvious title given that it's Super Mario Bros. On the Wii.
On the Wii.
And I really enjoyed that. And at time of publishing, we will have done our first joint stream of the year. And we've been playing
Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it. Having
too.
recently played some co-op multiplayer Super Mario Bros. I had a really good time. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The three of us playing Mario together.
Yeah, as long as we don't fall out.
Well, we might do.
I can't make any promises.
But
It's a usual occurrence.
I have so little experience in Mario. And what little Mario I have played has been just one of the various single player ones, like the really early ones.
Yeah.
And I played a bit of Mario 64 when I was growing up as well, because my friend had an N64. But sit down and play co-op, side-scrolling, very pretty, enjoyable modern Mario, was great. And I'm sure we're enjoying it on our joint streams as well.
Me too.
I have also started Baldur's Gate 3, but it was 3 weeks ago, and I spent a lot of the time in the character creator, and I thought, well, at least in this first session, I will clear out the goblin camp, because that's what everyone said. How did you do the goblin camp? No.
Takes ages.
No. Yeah, I'm talking to everyone. I've met some goblins. There was one tied to a windmill.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Oh, he's not a goblin. I think
Well,
he's a
no,
gnome.
he wasn't a goblin, but the guy who tied him to the
Oh, yeah,
windmill
he was a
a
goblin.
Yeah. But no, I didn't even get as far as the goblin camp. And now I'm thinking it's been that long. I might just restart the game when I go back to it next week, because it will have been. I played it before Christmas, so it's right now it's been 3 weeks. It will have been 4 weeks, I think, since I played it. So I'm thinking, do I remember who everyone is, what their motivations are? Not sure. But it's really good. I'm having a great time. So that's what I've been playing.
Wonderful.
I played a few things. I brought what I played this week and what I played over Christmas as well, because there's a few things I wanted to talk about. I've played more Baldur's Gate 3. I'm really enjoying that game. I'm coming towards the end of Act 2 now, I think. And my boyfriend, he managed to sleep with one of the characters before I even got a second kiss with Shadowheart. She says she loves me now, so that's good.
That's good, yeah.
And she wants to be with me, but he's already got boned and I'm fuming. Can't believe it.
Sorry. I'm so sorry about that.
So angry.
Not got boned by Shadowheart.
No.
Because that would be really awkward.
No, well, he didn't even like the character that he had the saucy time with.
Wow.
But he was like, I'm just doing it because I know that it's going to annoy you that you haven't got a second kiss with Shadowheart yet.
Shadowheart is very pretty.
She is.
I thought she's very nice.
Yes.
And if I wanted to bone one of the characters, I would probably choose her.
Yeah. I just want to play that game all the time, and my boyfriend's playing Tears of the Kingdom right now, and he doesn't want to play Baldur's Gate all the time. And I accidentally did a manipulation this week when I opened it on the Steam Deck, and I was like, I'm just going to start a new character.
You did a manipulation.
It was an accident. I was like, I'm going to make a new character. I'm just going to play it on my own. And then he looked over, he was like, if you want to play Baldur's Gate, you just have to say. And I was like, I wasn't saying anything. I'm just gonna. And then he was like, come on then, let's go play Baldur's Gate. And I was like, God,
that's all it takes.
Nice, easy. I just keep making a new character every time.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I have played some more Disney Dreamlight Valley. I've finished like all of the main quests, all of the character quests that are currently in the base game. I'm not gonna go back to that game until they like add in some more content into the base game. There's this DLC that adds a bunch of new areas and new characters, but I refused to pay £20 for it, so I'm gonna wait. I didn't know what to play for a bit, so I downloaded Lego 2K Drive and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and I played Lego 2K Drive for about an hour. I just kind of got a bit bored. I was kind of like, well, Peter loved it, so there must be something about it that is really good, and I just couldn't really get into it. And so I have uninstalled that after about an hour.
I do think, although I did enjoy it, I do think the open world kind of design of driving games nowadays is like, I'd still rather just play a sort of more arcadey thing where you just choose the next race, choose the next level. Like, I had more fun with Burnout than I have ever had with any modern racing game.
I tried to build a kart in Lego, and it was bad. Whenever I tried to drive it, my character would just cease to exist because she couldn't actually fit in it.
Oh no.
I played some Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and I'm still definitely going to go back to that, but it's no Baldur's Gate, so it's just all I want to play. I've played Rusty Lake Hotel, which is a short puzzle game. I finished it. It's kind of like the movie The Menu, if you've seen it. If you haven't, I won't spoil it for you. But that's a good little puzzler. I got it in a Humble Bundle over December, and I decided to give it a go. Finished it. It was a good time. Some of the puzzles were a bit like, they didn't make much sense, and I did have to Google them. But for the most part, I managed to figure it out all by myself.
Nice.
I played another game called Slice of Sea, which is a bit like Machinarium. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. Similar to that, point and click style situation. I haven't played too much of that now, but I was enjoying it when I did give it a go. And the last thing I've played, the thing I've been playing the most this week, I think, is called Steam World Builder. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Someone tweeted me over Christmas being like, you will enjoy this, and they were right. It's basically like a colony like builder situation, but you have a bunch of robots that you are dealing with, and they all have certain needs. You build like the basic worker homes, and then you have to upgrade them to engineer homes, but still have enough worker ones. And then you get like the poshos, the aristocrats, they also need houses, and
is
then
it
scientists.
Steampunk style?
No, it's kind of cartoony and like colourful, and it looks really good. And the only reason I stopped playing it is because my flipping mines keep getting attacked, and it's really winding me up because they keep breaking all my stuff. And I'm trying to deal with 2 mines and also the surface world, and I'm just like, can we just give me a minute, please? I'm getting overwhelmed. But I was having a good time with that game, and I probably will go back to it and see if I can at least finish kind of like the main. You're basically trying to build a rocket ship, and all the parts of the rockets are in the mines. So you have to like upgrade the mines by upgrading the stuff on the roof, and you have to upgrade the stuff on the roof by going in the mines. So yeah, good time. Had fun with that. So I'm probably going to play some more of that. But Baldur's Gate 3 is my one true love at the moment, and it will be until I finish it. So that's what I've played.
Amazing. I have also played some Baldur's Gate 3. That was mainly over Christmas. I've not played it since the last podcast. I am worried that it's not for me. And it's a scary thing to admit because I feel like people will come for me with pitchforks. But I'm really trying. I haven't tried this week, but next time I play it, I will really try. I'm continuing to really try, but I don't know that I am enjoying it as much as it's, because whenever anyone talks about it, it's really it's really enjoyable to hear how excited they are and how enthusiastic they are. And I can't help but feel a disconnect when I play it because I don't feel the same way.
What is it about
Is
it that you're
too
not?
sort of dialogue heavy,
Yeah.
or
Not even
'cause that's
that.
the one thing that I don't dislike it for that, but I'm just like
You feel like you're missing out if you don't have all the conversations.
yeah, and I also want to like skip ahead and like
Yeah.
get to some action, but
I can't really put my finger on it, to be honest. It may just be as simple as the fact that it's been hyped into oblivion, and that's like I have actively fallen off many games because of that exact reason, because it can't live up to that level of hype. I've never played a game like this before. I'm not enjoying it, but also I'm aware of how long it is, and I'm thinking, do I really want to commit to something that I actually am not getting the same level of enjoyment out of as it seems everybody else is?
Yeah, and it is like I'm maybe 40 hours in and I'm only in Act 2 now, and it does feel like it's quite the commitment that you have to make to it. So I do understand if you're not like 100%, that can sound like quite a daunting number.
Yeah.
But what class are you playing as?
I am in direct opposition to my usual class, which is big, powerful, smash everything character. I have gone for a stealth archer this time.
all right.
Which I'm not enjoying. I don't mind that, but I often and I know that I'm early in the game, but I often find myself quite frustrated by the combat. Like they're always like missing, or I talked about it on the Game of the Year podcast how I've got Karlach, and I know you can upgrade her movement and stuff, but like she's always running out of movement and never getting in range to hit anything. I just feel like I'm wasting my time here, and because I'm playing it in co-op, it's my character and Karlach that I'm controlling, and I just feel like I'm gonna have to. I really want to play with Karlach, but I'm gonna have to swap her out because it's actively impacting my enjoyment of the game.
Difficulty did you put it on?
The easiest
Easy
one.
one,
I'm
yeah.
not interested
too.
in being challenged.
Yeah.
I want to experience the game. So I am going to keep playing it for sure. That is going to happen. But I'm just sad that I'm not like infatuated with it immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, even as someone who is so far only a couple of hours in, really enjoying it, I still think I'm probably not going to finish it because it is so long, so big, and I struggle to finish games at the best of times nowadays because I have so little time to play. And I know that there's 2 games coming out in January I'm looking forward to, more coming out in February.
Yeah.
So am I going to sit and be playing Baldur's Gate it's going to take me, it would take me through the whole month and probably 2 months. I mean, how long have you been playing it in terms of days and weeks?
Well, I've been playing it over the course of pretty much all of December, but not playing it all the time.
No.
But I've got about 38 hours.
Yeah. See, I think like it would, even if I dedicated time to it, it would take me like a couple of months to finish. And then there's other games coming out. So I'm probably not going to finish it, but I'm going to enjoy it, I hope.
A little bit that it definitely took a little while to click with me. I didn't enjoy it immediately because I think it is that learning curve of trying to play a game that is very different to things we played before. But once I kind of figured out my character and figured out Shadowheart, because those are the 2 characters I'm playing as, I think that it became a lot more enjoyable once I'd kind of sussed out the best way to play with them. And even now, like sometimes it's frustrating because Shadowheart has a habit of missing all the time. But yeah, I think that it takes a while to get going until you're really like understanding the best way to play and how to get into it. It can be like, do I really enjoy it? But
I'm going to
I
persevere.
don't force yourself to play it.
No,
I
I'm not going to. Like, there have been several evenings where I could have played it and I've decided to play something else. Like, it's always more fun to talk about, let's play Baldur's Gate tonight ahead of time. And then when it comes to actually playing it, I think, God, I'm tired and like I don't want to think, and this feels like a think game.
It requires concentration.
So Ben's very much said that before. Is like I've not got enough brain space to play that right now because I just can't handle all of the numbers.
But there's just sort of like a mentality that comes with it that I feel like from the people who are really enjoying it. Like you mentioned there about your willingness to create a new character and start again. I've heard a lot of people in our community say the same thing, like, I've got like a dozen different characters on the go. Yeah. My girlfriend has like 5 different characters. And so whenever I've seen her play it, she's literally just in the luscious green environment like all the time. And after a fight where I was like, I'm getting really frustrated with this, she said, well, why don't we like just reload an earlier save or like start a new character for you? And at this point, we're like 10 hours in. I'm like, that mentality just does not make any sense to me. The prospect of going through all of that again, and I know that there's like a billion different ways you can do stuff.
You can respect the companions as well, so you could change some of the stats that Karlach has. Now and make her easier to play as,
and that's great. And I probably will. It's just sort of an observation that people who really enjoy it are like, you know what? More Baldur's Gate, even at the cost of just like starting again, I don't actually mind. Whereas I do not feel that way at all. I don't know if that's representative of just sort of maybe it's not for me, but I really, really want it to be for me because I know it's so good. And like everything about, like, it looks gorgeous.
You got a bit of FOMO.
The voice acting is brilliant. Yeah, like I should like this game, even though it's not a genre of game I've played before. But it's not clicking just yet. So I'm going to keep trying. And if it doesn't click, I'm going to be quite sad because I really want to like it.
I feel quite lucky because there's not really many games coming out this side of the end of Feb where I'm like, I'm going to put everything down to give this a go. There's nothing really coming out where I'm like really excited. So for right now, I'm just like, well, I could just hang out with Baldur's Gate for as long as I can. Like,
I think I've got until Final Fantasy next month.
There's a few little bits and pieces coming out, but nothing where I'm like, I can't wait for that until Final Fantasy 7. So.
Yeah. But even so, I have distracted myself with other games when I should have been doing my Baldur's Gate homework.
Yeah.
I have played some more Persona 4 Golden, just doing a playthrough with a guide, getting some trophies and having a wonderful time just with it on, with no sound and watching some television. And that's been really lovely. I've also played a lot of Minecraft, and that's been very nice. I built a wonderful underground minecart track that goes from my house to like the building site where I'm building something else, and there's I made a train station.
Love
and
it.
It looks wonderful, and that was really fun, and I enjoyed that very much. So I'll probably still keep playing a little bit of Minecraft here and there. I bought a couple of games on sale, one of which is Viewfinder, because
oh my God, I've wanted to play that for ages and I've never got around to it.
I was inspired by Ashton Matthews coming to the podcast with lots of interesting smaller games. And I was like, last year was so busy with all of the massive games that I'm going to take the opportunity now to play some smaller things
I'm so jealous.
that I've been interested in. Viewfinder is fantastic.
It does look lovely.
It's it's a sort of perspective shifting game in the style of Superliminal, but like far less. I haven't actually played Superliminal, but Viewfinder's like the visual style is kind of like The Witness. It's very colorful, and you essentially pick up photographs in any given environment, and then you can also later on take photos with a disposable camera as well. And whatever it is, and wherever you place it, that object then has the depth and the 3D of whatever it's a photo of. So you can use it to basically solve puzzles and go through the game. Now, it is a puzzle game, but it's also not a puzzle game in the same way that I would describe The Witness as a puzzle game, which is far more sort of like, here's some esoteric puzzles, go, like just go do your thing, which did not connect with me. Whereas this actually has a narrative, and there's someone who's talking to you, and there's like an AI cat who's following you around, and the levels are much smaller. And I thought it was great. I finished it in one sitting. When I looked it up, it said one of the criticisms was that it was too short. And I was like, get in. This is perfect. So I played Viewfinder and I finished Viewfinder and I thought it was great.
Oh man, I'm gonna
started out as a tech demo, and I was following the developer
really?
for a while, and it was just like, he was like, I made this like thing, like this is fun, isn't it? Hold the photo up, or you can walk in it, and then eventually it's just a whole game.
It's
and
so
rightly
clever.
so. Yeah.
The puzzles are really clever as well. Like, say you need 2 batteries to power something to get out and you only have 1 battery, or 3 batteries, for example, but you only have 1 battery, then you would, and you have like 1 disposable film, then you would need to take a photo of the spare disposable film and the battery in the same photo so that you have 2 disposable films, and then you can put the photo of the battery next to the spare battery and then take a photo again, then you got 3 batteries. It's clever. Like it, and there were only a couple of times where I was thinking, I am so stuck. And then it turns out that I was massively overthinking what the solution was.
Right.
And a couple of times I did just like brute force puzzles just by manipulating the physics of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed that one. The other game I played was Bramble the Mountain King.
Oh, yeah?
Which you've played, right?
I have, yeah.
Very Little Nightmares, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they have said that it's inspired by that, but it's got to be in part inspired by Little Nightmares.
Really quite spooky and creepy in a lot of places.
Yeah, and sometimes like really sort of quite visceral and gory.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh, okay,
It's
wow.
like Limbo and Little Nightmares
Yeah.
all in one. Really cool game. I also finished that one in one sitting as well, although it's a little bit longer. And yeah, really pleasantly surprised. Although I'd say that 99% of my deaths were just falling off things because the jumping, you'll like jump onto a ledge and he'll go, oh, I'm at slightly the wrong angle and I'm just going to slip off now. But fortunately, the checkpointing is like really generous.
Yeah.
And they'll reset you right next to stuff. A couple of boss fights as well, I felt was like, this is just a complete flip shoot, like how I'm meant to avoid this attack.
Yeah, I think I struggled with the one on the roof where I don't even know if it was a boss fight, but like there was stuff growing and like white flowers and there was like this whole circle of rooftops.
Yeah, you had to hide behind chimneys.
Yeah, and like the timing on it just seemed, sometimes it was like, well, that's like, it was almost like the cycles had like bugged out a bit or something. It was like, oh, I literally don't have time to get to the next area.
I did have to restart a checkpoint once when I dropped down and the camera just refused to follow me into the next area. So it was a little buggy. It's an imperfect game for sure, but like fascinating. It's sort of Scandinavian folklore monsters and you know, sort of fairy tale-esque. Really, really good. And both of those are on sale, I believe, which is where I bought them on PlayStation. So I'd recommend them. And that's what I've played.
Well, now it's time for question 2, which comes from Big Money Bobby Vegas.
That's actually what it says.
It is a fantastic
It's not just
name.
Bobby Vegas and
No,
Ashton
it's
decided
Big
to call it Big Money.
Greetings, Bap, and Happy New Year, also with you. Shortly before Christmas, I read that the original God of War creator, David Jaffe, didn't like the direction that Kratos' character went in the newer versions of the title, stressing the family man story arc wasn't appropriate for the character. I don't agree with him and found new Kratos a lot more engaging than the angry, horny Kratos of the PlayStation 2 era. And it subsequently got me thinking, which other previously two-dimensional video game characters do you think could be brought back and revamped in the same way as Kratos? For example, I'd love a Duke Nukem game where the previously one-note misogynist slowly starts to see the errors of his ways upon discovering he has fathered a now adult daughter who's disappointed to see the super soldier is just kind of a douche. What do you think? Who would benefit from a modern day proper character arc? Wishing you big things and big money for 2024.
Thank you, Big Money Bobby.
Thank you, Big Money Bobby Vegas.
Well, I thought as I read the first part of this question, my answer was going to be Duke Nukem. So I've come up with a different one, but that is a good shout, Big Money Bobby Vegas. That it could be the only way that the Duke could ever be brought back nowadays, I think, other than like DLC in Bulletstorm or whatever he was, bonus character. But I think a character who I've always liked for no reason whatsoever, because he's completely one-dimensional, not two-dimensional, doesn't even speak. But for some reason, I always thought Claude Speed from GTA 3 was really cool. I like what he wears. And that's it, because that's all he does. He wears a leather jacket and then he wanders around doing GTA stuff and he does missions for people, which entails him walking into a boss's hideout. They say, hey, go pick up my girlfriend. And he just goes and nods and walks out, struts out. But he looks cool.
It's pretty cool.
And he does have a story and a motivation, which is that in the opening cutscene, he is doing a bank job with a couple of other people, and I think his girlfriend shoots him with a shotgun, and leaves him, and she drives off with all the money, and so he's basically out for revenge, and that's his story. But I think if they brought him back as a character in a future GTA game, or I mean, this would never ever ever happen, but if they just remade in a sort of Capcom Resident Evil style GTA 3. but said we're going to completely kind of do this from the ground up, add quality of life touches, add voice acting to Claude's speed, then finally I could actually have a bit more of a compelling story and some dialogue with a character who I always liked as a kid. And I was a kid and I was too young to be playing GTA 3, but I played it anyway. So that's someone who springs to mind.
Nice.
My initial thought was Lara Croft, but of course, Crystal Dynamics recently did their trilogy, and they did a really interesting job with her arc over those 3 games. So that didn't count. But I was thinking, speaking of Resident Evil, I would like to know what Claire Redfield's up to when she's not looking for her brother. It always feels like when we're playing
Kissing
as Claire,
weirdos, isn't
she's
she?
kissing weirdos.
Steve.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Resident Evil 2 remake definitely did add a little something. But I would just quite like to see what she's about outside of just like hanging out with these boys. Because it feels like she will never ever pass the Bechdel test, in that she was always talking about a man, looking for a man, needing to find her brother. Where's Leon? Where's Chris? Where are the boys? And I just would like to see what she's doing and flesh out a bit more about her, because she's like really badass and she's really cool and she gets flip done. And I just think she deserves more. Does Claire, not Chris. Ugh.
You're doing it.
I'm doing it now. She's got me at it. Does Claire Redfield. So I think she would be an interesting character to revisit as the star of her own entry.
I'm sure some Philip J. Reed viewer will probably tell us, oh, well, there's probably some spin-off game or some movie or TV show where she probably has had more done to her.
Yeah, probably.
But you're right that there should be a more kind of mainstream main entry.
Is it Revelations 2?
Yeah.
You play as her and the teenager.
You might be right.
It's not good.
But I agree with you,
It's
Ashton.
not
Like
good
there could be a kind of a front and center. The next Resi game could just, if they wanted to, they could just bring Claire back and have her be the
we've
protagonist.
already had Chris pop up briefly in 8, so why not Claire?
Why not Claire?
Yeah.
Also, why not Chris? That's my one.
Is
Chris
it?
Redfield. Yeah, I'm envisioning a future game down the line where it's sort of a. Have you guys seen Marvel Studios presents Hawkeye on Disney Plus?
No.
I really like that TV show.
It's a great TV show. It's not about Hawkeye. He's in it, but he's like knackered and old, and he's got hearing loss, and he's wearing like a hearing aid and stuff because of all the crap. He's one of the few non-superhuman members, so he's like knackered. And it shows sort of like a very human perspective on him. And I'd quite like to see a Resi game in the future where you're playing as a young rookie agent, but you're partnered up, or maybe fate puts you in a team up with like an older, wizened Chris who like can't quit the game and he doesn't know how to quit the game, but your agent is aware that like he's a legend and you've got such reverence for him, and he's just like, leave me alone, kid. And he's like got a bad hip, and he's still massive, obviously, because he's Chris Redfield, but he's like got grey hair. Maybe he does have hearing loss. You can have these human moments where there's a bit of downtime and she's trying to talk to him, but he can't hear her because his hearing aid is out. She's like, oh, he's got a hearing aid. I wonder why. So it's only because he's been around explosions for like 20 years.
Blowing up,
There could be like a The Last of Us Part 1 style angle where you play as the young agent for most of it, and then she either gets kidnapped or captured, and you just go on this rampage as old Chris, like, and he's built like what's his name, Joe from the End of Zoe DLC from Resi 7, where he just punches everything to death. And there have been a few moments like that in games. I think there's a moment like that in one of the Splinter Cell games as well, where Sam Fisher basically has a meltdown, and the entire game is presented very differently as he just sort of shoots everyone in the head trying to get to his daughter or something. And maybe, I mean, he'd have to obviously, but like learn a valuable lesson. About maybe knowing when to call it quits, and also opening his heart up.
Yeah.
And maybe he calls his daughter after, and it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's definitely scope for that in the Resi series to have sort of more of a human element, because there's really not much in that series.
Yeah. I mean, even when we think we like do know a character, we haven't seen his face, like Ethan.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we know what his motivations are. No, we don't. We don't always.
No.
And even Leon, who I would say seems the less, he's slightly less silly and unbelievable compared to some of the other protagonists. He's a bit less action hero, but also I know nothing about him other than the fact that he's good with guns and knives. So
Yeah.
he still actually is a silly action hero. He's just not so cheesy. Although he is still cheesy. I don't know. He feels less ridiculous than Chris Redfield.
What do you mean? Where's everyone going bingo? It's
Yeah.
like the most sincere line ever.
Yeah.
He's one of the more serious elements in Resi 6. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
And so is Chris, actually. They're both very serious. It's the things around them that are stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my choice anyway. I'd like to see that at some point in the future. Well, it's time for something a little strange.
A little peculiar,
And
perhaps.
it's hitting the headlines. It's weird news.
It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, you can submit some weird video game news to us under the relevant social media post that goes out on a Tuesday. However, if you'd like to guarantee a shout out at this point in the podcast, you need to go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump and support us at the appropriate tier, becoming a podcast producer in the process, just like
Chip, Chris, Thompson's Thumbs,
GY Goliath.
Nexus Polaris,
Nicole Hansen,
Kyle Geary.
Andy Scott,
Blake Thomas,
Shaman Nomo.
Great Giggity,
Melody Elbonette,
Casey Garrett.
Gabrielle Philipping.
Potato Shack 99.
And Eric Siu.
Thank you,
Thank you,
podcast
podcast
producers.
producers.
Thank you so
Producers.
much.
Some new names there.
I'd like to apologise to Great Giggity because they were on the list from before Christmas, and then last week they accidentally got missed off, and then they messaged saying, "Am I still for Christmas?"
no.
And you are. I'm so sorry. I just I redid the list because there was more people, and I accidentally missed you off. I'm so sorry.
You're getting special spotlight shone on you now. We're
Yeah.
actively talking.
Yeah.
Great Giggity. Let's all say Great
Great
Giggity.
Great
Giggity.
Giggity.
Great Giggity.
Great Giggity.
There you go.
So sorry.
Sorry about
Special
that.
moment. Sorry about that. I've got a story here that was sent in by Peter Austin.
Oh.
Hey, I recognise that name.
Whoa.
Do you?
Yeah, I think he's a top fan on Facebook.
He certainly is. This is according to Kotaku.com, written by Zach Zvison or Zvison. GTA 6 fan uses science to figure out what SPF sunscreen was used in the trailer.
These are the people who invade stages.
Yes. Finally, a Rockstar Games super fan has done the important work.
These
it
people who
says.
don't leave the house, they haven't got time to go to a stage. They're busy being in their
Yeah.
basement.
We may earn a commission from links on this page, says Kotaku.
They linked some SPF, have they?
Yeah, could have done. You might have watched the new Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer a few times since it was released in December 2023. Maybe you even paused it once or twice to spot a detail. But I bet most of you haven't sat down and spent a few hours researching and writing a 1,500-word report on the sunscreen scene in a 1-second bit of the trailer.
No,
But
I haven't.
if you want that kind of thing, well, don't worry. Someone has done the work for you. There's a paragraph saying, GTA 6 is coming, and there was a trailer, and it was Miami, and there were clips, and it got lots of views, and then it continues.
Okay.
But do you remember the person applying sunscreen to a woman in a bikini at the 21-second mark?
No.
No. On
I
January
have family and friends, so I
Indeed. On January the 3rd, as
Going for the jugular.
spotted by PC Gamer, Reddit user Faisarc posted a 1,500 plus word report on the GTA subreddit dedicated to showcasing all the research they had put into the brief sunscreen moment. Specifically, Faisarc wanted to figure out the SPF level of the sunscreen seen in the trailer. To this day, they worked out the NPC's skin tone using various methods, including the von Luschen chromatic scale and some math. But that wasn't enough. Determining what SPF level to use isn't just about your skin tone, but also involves factors like how long you'll be out in the sun. So Faisarc used maps and shadows to pinpoint what time of day it is when we see the sunscreen being applied, and factored in how many hours of sunlight are left, using even more data and research to determine the maximum amount of sun the NPC could expect that day.
I feel like I'm at school. This
Right.
feels like an exam
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
The answer is that Chris has 3 apples.
Yes.
Yes.
The train is going 60 miles an hour.
How
Yeah.
tall is Imhotep? After all this, assuming the NPC seen in the trailer is someone who follows all the recommended guidelines, Faisarc figured out that the SPF of the sunscreen used in the GTA 6
Is it
trailer...
factor 50?
No. Using the GTA 6 trailer was likely between 8 and 14.
Okay, so they didn't even get the exact number.
No, but they were weirdly specific
But-
in their range.
Well, I didn't. is SPF different than what we have in? Oh, sorry.
No, they've
what we
just
have
got
in
very
England?
low SPF, I guess.
I
for
thought you
some
couldn't
reason.
get any lower than like 15.
Yeah, it just sounds like water.
That's just outside
Yeah.
sweat.
Finally, we can all stop thinking about this and get on with our lives. To be clear, their post isn't just extremely detailed, but also very funny. This is likely a joke taken to the extreme. For years and years, GTA 6 fans have been presented as sickos who will intensely analyze and document every
Sickos?
screenshot.
I've never called him a sicko.
Well, no, but you said he has no friends or family. We've seen dedicated
Fair
fans
enough, yeah.
even
I did say that.
recreate the maps for GTA games before they're released. So it seems 5,000 is having some fun with the community while also finding one more thing to analyze in GTA 6's first and so far only trailer.
Brilliant.
There's more, but that's it.
Mean to be like that woman on Sky News who made fun of that
Oh,
30
yeah, she
year
was
old
terrible.
With Tetris.
Go outside.
Because that is actually an achievement and he should be proud of himself. But sometimes I think about this and I just think like what good you could be doing in society and what else you could be doing with your time. And it just makes me annoyed because I'm like, if I had this much time on my hands, I feel like I would do stuff that's beneficial to me and the rest of the world.
I'd become Batman if
yeah,
I had
would
this
too.
level of detective skills.
Exactly.
I can only assume, given that the article noted that the post was very humorous, that
Yeah.
it was just a
It's just a
joke,
meme.
and the user thought, I can do this and this would be funny.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not? Why not? I've got the know-how. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
No. Yeah. Well, good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
And all their many friends and family, I'm sure they have.
I'm sure they've got some.
It's been Christmas in between then and now. That's why I'm like, what were you doing over the time? It's Christmas
Yeah,
time.
3rd of January they posted
Right,
it.
they're out of
so they must have
school or
started
something.
it
I don't know.
around New Year's.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh, at the end of the document it says outro. How's that happen?
Oh,
I must
Have I
have
got an
accidentally
intro?
cut it off. Whoopsie daisy.
yeah, I've got an intro too.
Okay. Anyway, I have some news. It was submitted by top fan Josh Lees on Facebook. Comes from Kotaku, Australia, by John Walker, who does actually have a American flag next to him. So I assume he's American. Oh God! Sony reveals new car that can be driven via PlayStation controller.
Uh-oh.
You know what's a spectacularly terrible idea? Being able to control a real car with a PlayStation DualSense controller. Yup, that's a real thing now. During Sony's CES 2024 press conference, the Japanese tech giant took one giant leap into the preoccupied realms of whether they could by showing off the ability to drive a car with the PlayStation 5 peripheral. Sony and Honda have hooked up behind the garage and produced something called the Afeela, the hot garbage name for a newfangled AV car that stops just short of transforming into a killer robot. Its astonishing ultra mega widescreen dash makes Tesla's inside look like an 80s Apple IIe. Yeah, IIE.
Get him. You show him.
Yeah, I know what that means. With the exterior seems based off on its Knight Rider's kit were a family saloon. Oh, if Knight Rider's kit were a family saloon.
Mitchell.
The website really reads like a projectile vomit of 1,000 corporate executives saying things like, and I promise this is real, Afeela powers unparalleled intelligence, remembering, communicating, protecting, and inspiring people.
What does that mean?
Words.
Can
Words.
a car inspire?
Scroogles.
Scroogles. Just in case it didn't already sound like the preamble of a dystopian sci-fi film about cars that take over the world, extraordinarily, Sony and Honda are declaring that they're in collaboration with Microsoft to license Azure OpenAI as a conversational personal agent for all those times you need your car to just make I was almost falling. To make flip up based on things it scraped off of Reddit. This is, to hammer this all home, a prototype car that boasts it has the ability to use Unreal Engine driven AR on its vast dash screens to make it look like they're actual colossal monsters stomping down the road in front of you as you drive. I'm not making that up.
Why would you want that?
Yeah, well this is the monster view, it's called. Look. That's the dashboard. That's the dashboard in front of you.
I would prefer to look out the windscreen at what's going on rather than the dashboard.
You think it's probably going to be illegal in many countries. Yeah. Anyway,
Do you
this
think
car.
if your dad drives the car with the controller, he turns
it, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want those motion controls.
No.
They're not nearly responsible.
Which is sure to be the ultimate in subscription locked features, apparently can also be controlled by your DualSense controller, because there was room for one more terrible idea. Honda's president Izumi Kawanishi took to the stage at CES and drove the car onto the stage using the controller.
Oh my gosh.
Although thankfully stressed at this point, it was only a tech demo. However, don't let any fears be assuaged, as Sony added that it's partnering with Polyphony Digital. The in-house developers who make the Gran Turismo games to bring together virtual and real-world experiences.
Oh.
Yes, I admit, if someone gave me the opportunity to sit high on some mountain and remotely control an empty car on a huge track via a PS5 controller in a race against my friends, I would totally do it. I would also deliberately crash so much. I would deliberately crash so much, but I would be there. But dear God, I shouldn't be allowed to.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're building a car that is the biggest hazard. They're trying to outdo those Tesla Cybertrucks by being the most dangerous thing on the road.
Yeah.
Surely this will never come out.
No.
Surely.
Not
I think
on the
it is
roads.
going to be in Gran Turismo, though. I think they said that they're going to put it in Gran Turismo.
Oh, right. Okay.
But even,
Goody.
Yeah, I know. It's going to control like a car, I suppose. Also, I think maybe when I was looking for weird news, Nexus Polaris submitted that on Twitter as well.
Oh,
So
sorry,
thank you,
Nexus.
Nexus, for that. Well, I hope that never comes out. And
What
I
do you
also
mean?
hope that this doesn't come out as well. It's a clean sweep for Kotaku this week.
Yeah,
This is also from
good for
Kotaku
them.
and Zach Svisen, and this news was submitted by Dan Wilson at iDanWilson on Twitter. AARP's horrible AI-powered Mario hologram explained, and there's an update.
Oh.
The Consumer Electronics Show,
Yeah.
CEMS, is happening this week in Las Vegas, and buried inside the massive convention floor filled with new computers, a car you can drive with a PlayStation 5 controller, monitors, and other tech, is a strange, horrible holographic Mario
Yeah.
porridged by AI. And sponsored by AARP, formerly the American Association of Retired Persons.
What?
As spotted and recorded by Twitter, or X, I don't care, it says, user Gregory on January the 9th, a hologram booth inside an AARP area at CES 2024 contained a short 3D CG Mario. This familiar Nintendo character can answer questions and react to attendees. However, his stilted, robotic, monotone voice and delivery are very off-putting and weird. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'd rather have Chris Pratt's Mario
Chris Porridge.
over Chris Porridge's Mario over this holographic mess. At one point, Gregory claims an AARP rep at the booth told him to ask Mario how to buy a video game. Mario then proceeded to offer the helpful advice of going to Target to buy it. Now I've got to click continue reading. Here we go. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear Mario?
Yeah. I have seen this video, but it's, yeah.
Make your shopping experience fun and exciting. Thank you for asking. Let's make it a fantastic day at Target together.
Let's make it a fantastic day
Day
at Target together. It sounds like the male version of Carla, the voice
You've
that
got to
we
make-
had
Yeah,
for
I was
Alert.
going to say, it sounds like what they've done is actually chosen what should be an Italian text-to-speech for reading Italian words, and then they've just given it the English.
Let us all go to Target together.
It's sort of
Exactly.
pronouncing the E's at the ends of words. I hope you come home sooner.
It's very weird. On an unrelated note, this particular holographic booth seems to be co-sponsored by Target, as the store's logo is plastered on the machine.
Why don't you ask them about video games?
Why is this thing? What is this thing, and how is it connected to the AARP? Great question. While a robotic-sounding AI-powered Mario hologram is strange enough, it's made even weirder by its connection to AARP. Why is this organization, primarily dedicated to advocating for elderly and retired people, showing off a holo Mario? Well, it's part of Age Tech, a larger technology push from AARP focused on meeting the needs of the world's aging population. Yes, people who are familiar with Mario are getting old, us included. Age Tech includes various startups, investors, creators, and businesses. One of these members appears to be Proto Hologram, a company that designs and creates large holographic-like boxes that can be placed in stores or public areas and can be used to advertise stuff like using lifelike people or mascots. It goes on. Blah, 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 to talk about that. However, a lot of people have said there's no way that this was licensed by Mario.
No.
In an
By
update,
Mario.
Proto and AARP confirmed with Kotaku that Nintendo was not involved with the hologram at CES and sent over this statement. The AI hologram animation briefly seen today is an unfinished proof of concept tested for a client to demonstrate technological capabilities and innovation. It is not intended for commercial release. AARP and Nintendo were not involved in the inadvertent showing today. The fact that so many gamers of the world have taken notice shows that they are the best fans in the world, and we salute them.
So they just
Bossaroos.
stole it.
Yeah, basically they just put
Yeah.
Mario in there because they
Surely
could.
they can't. Surely that's a crime.
Yeah, that feels like it's illegal, doesn't it?
You'd think they
Yeah.
would get a cease and desist at the very least.
At least do Mickey Mouse. Everyone can use Mickey Mouse now.
Yeah.
The old
Steve
Why not
Irwin.
go buy a Target?
It's basically Mario as well. His
He
voice,
is
isn't
essentially Mario.
It's me, Mickey.
So if you see that going around, it's just a sort of bored, like
Why
soulless-eyed
do you go
Mario.
buy the Target?
It also advises him on healthy eating as
Yeah,
well.
he says,
One
"How
of the
can I
books.
eat healthily?" And I think he starts because I don't know if the guy's talking about like what round here can I get that's like good food, and but he just starts saying like eating vegetables and
Yeah.
make sure you have a balanced diet and stuff.
Very bizarre. But there we are. That was weird news. It's time now, everybody, for the big discussion. It's big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion that this week comes courtesy of Nicholas Otter. Is that how it's pronounced?
I think so.
Brilliant. Lord Brotovich. Hello, BAP. Finally, I have some breaking news to bring along. It looks like SAG-AFTRA have signed a deal that allows the use of AI voices in video games. From what I understand, it allows them to use synthetic actors that don't resemble any real voice actors. Is this where the video games industry is headed? Will companies now just start using fake voices instead of actually paying people? Or do you think there could be something useful about this? Maybe. Keys, Lord B. Thank you, Lord Brotovich.
Thank you, Lord Brotovich.
Thank you, Lord Brotovich.
Got a write-up here from Eurogamer, written by Ed Nightingale. It's quite a long article, but I think it's worth hearing the full story. Actors Union SAG-AFTRA has introduced a groundbreaking AI voice agreement to allow voice artists to safely explore opportunities for their digital voice replicas, sparking concern among a number of actors. The agreement is in conjunction with AI voice technology company Replica Studios and will allow game studios to work with Replica to access SAG-AFTRA talent under a fair, ethical agreement to safely create and license a digital replica of their voice. A press release from the union states that the agreement has been approved by affected members, whatever that means. It establishes minimum terms and conditions, ensures performer consent and negotiation for AI usage, and requires performers have the opportunity to opt out of AI use in new works. And now we've got a quote. Artificial intelligence has dominated the headlines, and for most performers, the best protection against the unauthorized digital simulation of their voice, likeness, and/or performance is a SAG-AFTRA contract. We are so happy to partner with Replica Studios because this is a great example of AI being done right, said SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher. SAG-AFTRA National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland added, "With this agreement, we have achieved fully informed consent and fair compensation when it comes to the use of our members' voices and performances. We are proud to work with Replica in leading the way to make it easy for these companies to access SAG-AFTRA's world-renowned talent in an ethical manner that ensures consent and fair compensation for their contributions. This agreement also paves the way for other companies to follow their lead." Shreyas Nivas, CEO of Replica Studios, also commented, "Our voice actor agreements ensure that game developers using our platform are only accessing licensed talent who have given permission for their voice to be used as a training data set, as opposed to the wild west of AI platforms using unethical data scraping methods to replicate and synthesize voices without permission." In September last year, SAG-AFTRA members overwhelmingly voted in favor of authorizing a video game strike. Negotiations to update the interactive media agreement failed shortly afterwards. Protections around exploitative uses of AI was a major sticking point in the interactive media agreement, which this new agreement appears to address. However, the response to the news from voice actors has been decidedly negative, despite being approved by affected members. "Nobody in our community approved this that I know of," said voice artist Steve Blum. "Games are the bulk of my livelihood and have been for years. Who are you referring to?" Responded voice artist Kellen Goff, "All voice actors in favor of cutting off this useless, out-of-touch, corrupt jailer of a union in favor of making our own union say aye." So a lot of us weren't even in the same room when this discussion happened, y'all. But sure, yeah, makes sense, said voice actor Autumn Ivy. Voice artist Thomas Mitchell said, "A disappointing agreement SAG-AFTRA have made regarding AI use. Studios will look past creativity for convenience, and this will potentially have a detrimental effect on artists. I wasn't as concerned before, but for the most influential trade union to accept this is troubling." So there we are.
Yes.
That's the gist. They've partnered with this company. It seems a lot of voice actors said, "Hang on, what? Why have you done this? We
Yeah.
didn't approve this. We didn't vote for this."
Yeah.
Who is the affected users in this?
I don't get this because SAG-AFTRA were obviously there were the huge strikes last year that affected all kinds of actors from all kinds of media, and one of the things that was a concern for let's say live action actors from films and TV was the use of AI, and there were other things as well, of course. Writers weren't getting paid enough and all that kind of thing.
Residuals for streaming services.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think one of the topics was the use of AI,
specifically with like background extras.
Yeah, that sort of thing, for example. And that seemed to be a point that like, oh, we don't want. We're concerned about this, and that's a bad thing, and that seemed to be fought quite strongly for the sort of the TV and film side of things. But then suddenly now over on the video game side of things, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is fine. We're going to make an agreement, and I'm sure that I don't even want to say to play devil's advocate, but I'm sure that someone from SAG-AFTRA who is in favor of this would say, oh well, the point is. We're having it so that this is now regulated. And so, it isn't the Wild West anymore where people are scraping voices and turning them into things. Now like actors can opt in or out, and there's all these like specific things laid down and agreements and stuff. So that is how they would probably defend this decision. But why didn't you you've not done the same thing for film and TV as far as I'm aware. So it's weird that you think that that's an acceptable solution for the video games industry, but not for voice acting elsewhere in media. Mm-hmm. Why is one okay and not the other? It just seems a really strange choice to go with this.
I agree. And I think that there was some discourse around this of like smaller indie devs and dev teams being like, well, that makes, it's much easier to just get a fake voice than it is to like find the real voice. It's probably cheaper too, which I think is respectfully a load of rubbish, because there is literally thousands upon thousands of new and up and coming voice actors who will do work for free or cheap, just trying to get up their portfolio and build up their, background. And there is absolutely no reason to ever have to use these replica voices. And I think it'd be interesting to see which voice actors take them up on this offer. And I think that, I think that it will be, I wonder if it will be cheaper for like the bigger studios to use these replica voices rather than finding someone who's slightly smaller and doesn't do the AI voices, because they're like, well, we've not got to get you in. We can just type the words out and they can just say it for us. I honestly think it's just a terrible idea. And I think that AI has beneficial uses in lots of ways, and it can be used in various ways outside of creativity and artistic sides of things in lots of good ways. And in those situations, like, great, science, use an AI to help with predictability and things like that. Fair enough. However, there is absolutely no need for an AI to be anywhere near anything that comes from like the human aspect of creativity. It will never be able to replicate voices well. It will never be able to understand inflections and the way people speak, and you will always be able to tell when something is an AI voice because it always sounds just wrong. It's like that uncanny valley situation with faces, but it's with voices. We will play you some of the examples they have on their website in a minute. But yeah, I just think the whole thing is just, it feels dirty, and I think they're trying to get ahead of it, and this company feel like the ones who will use it most ethically and have the best plan for using it, and we'll have to see how it turns out. But it just kind of feels like unnecessary, and it should have been vetoed very quickly. A lot of SAG-AFTRA voice actors have said that SAG have this bad habit of like putting stuff out publicly before letting members know, and that's why there was all this kind of kick up about it. It was because people had no idea this was happening. And I do think there's quite a lot of voice actors who would have been a bit more privately vocal than they have been outwardly vocal if they'd have known about it beforehand. But they have a right to be outwardly vocal because it is scary for people whose livelihood this affects.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It's rubbish. It's crap. And ethical is such a subjective term in this context, because if it were, I mean, it's ethical in the sense that here's this terrible situation, and we're going to make sure that people's whose voices are used are agreeing to have it be used.
And you can always opt out.
And you can always opt out. However, that doesn't mean that the thing that they're being ethical about isn't itself unethical and shouldn't really exist, because you're right, like it's always going to be wrong, and it's always going to be a bit crap. It will get better, but why would you want to do this apart from just to save money? Because that's all it comes down to, is just saving money. It's cheaper, it's easier.
And people who choose to opt in, that affects other people who want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not just a case of, well, it's just, you know, if it's your own personal choice, opt in or out. Well, no, but if I'm like a mid-tier or low-tier voice actor, or, you know, tier, I don't mean, but, you know, in terms of success and experience, voice actor, and there's a bunch of like really big people who have opted in and are maybe like relatively affordable. Of course, all the big studios are going to go with like fake Nolan North's voice or whoever.
Well, that's exactly it.
Miss out on work
as well, because surely people will just like want all the big names in every single game. And then it asks the question of how much money would they make from their AI synthesized voice versus actually doing it in person, and will they lose out on loads of income, because obviously asking an AI or running an AI Troy Baker through a script, you know, 24 times until you get the perfect performance is going to be way easier and cheaper than flying the man out and putting him in a mocap suit. Or
and also, like, when it comes to this use of someone's voice, you kind of remove, like, would you remove the ability to veto certain lines or certain things that they can be made said? Will they be making sure that the things that people are taking these voices for are actually games and are actually projects, or are they just going to make audio of people saying slurs and be like, look what he said? You know, that would be my worry as well, is that, like, and you could always be like, well, that's not me, it's my AI voice. But then it's like, well, you can make me say anything.
It's still, a new fire you're going to have to put out. And a similar thing happened. Was it Wacom on Twitter? I can't remember who it was. That they said that, we may have used some AI stuff and we didn't realize, we're sorry.
Right.
Yes.
And then it turned out that they had actually purchased it legitimately through Adobe, and it wasn't flagged as AI on Adobe, just showing that, like, there's you simply cannot trust the moderation of this stuff. Like, it goes so deep and it's already so ingrained that why would you open another can of worms? Even if it's ethically run. You know, it's just such.
You
a
make
disaster.
a good point about ethically is such a kind of like limbo term. It's like, what's morally good? Well, everyone's idea of that is different, and until it's outlined, like, what do you mean by ethically? What are the rules here? What are the restrictions placed upon people using these voices or people getting involved in this? It's so unclear, and obviously maybe there will be more information coming out soon, but right now it just feels like a real kick in the teeth for a lot of voice actors who were out there striking for their friends, like, in the film industry, and are now not. It's
crap. I think you were talking about the ethical standpoint in our Slack chat when you posted the article the other day. It just doesn't compute the way they all say it's good to have it in an ethical way. We're doing it in an ethical way. We trust these guys. It's all going to be so ethical. It's like you keep using that word, but you're not using it right.
Well, that's the thing. If like SAG say, oh, well, the alternative is if we didn't have these things in place, then, you know, it would be the Wild West and people would be using voices to do all sorts. Well, they would be in a certain corner of the industry. I don't deny that. But not all the big names. They're not going to just be like using the AI voice of someone famous and saying, it's a Wild West, there's nothing in place. No, there would be legislation or lawsuits involved if they actually tried to do that properly.
If anything, and most disappointingly, this legitimizes the use of AI voices because it's been signed off on by a major union. There were always going to be people who synthesize and use those
and there still will
Steam
be
games.
They're not going to be following these rules.
No, and they're not going to be paying a huge subscription to get access to SAG-AFTRA performers. This legitimizes things in a really, really sad way.
Yeah.
But most importantly, Ashton, the voices are crap.
Briefly, I've just gone on their website and they have a tab called Ethics and Security on their website. Okay. And it says, you can use replica voices in your creative projects, whether you're making a game, video, audiobook, or just need a voice for experimentation. Voice replication. Right. You must have explicit permission to replicate someone else's voice. This includes professional talent, character IP, celebrities, friends, and family members. Restricted content. You may not use replica for defamation, scams, fake news, illicit content, or other use cases where you are hiding behind a fake voice.
I'm sure that will stop.
Those are the
people.
two things.
It basically just says,
Right.
please
And then
don't.
it says
please don't
use
do
our
that.
terms and
Please don't.
conditions or reach out to us if you're unsure.
Or just don't give people the tools to easily do it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's also an
Do
option.
you want to hear an American voice, a British voice, an Eastern European voice, or a Scottish voice?
The Scottish one is, I think, amongst the worst.
Yeah. The man or do you want Annabelle or Grey?
Annabelle.
Annabelle.
Okay, here we go.
This is
These
what
are the
Annabelle
voice
sounds
samples
like.
on the website. And it will get better, obviously, but this is what they
Look.
got.
I've already told you. You're cut off. It's time to go home. Now, get out of my tavern before I lose my patience and set the dogs on you. How about you sit yourself
And this is a
down
demo
here and
on their
make yourself
website.
comfortable.
It may not be coming
I'll
through
go fetch
the speaker and then through the microphone, but there's such a sort of like sort
Yeah.
of wobbly
It's like a weird
voice
sort of
going on,
auto-tune
This is
tone to
stitching it all together.
This is Colt. He is supposed to be Eastern European.
Now, I think this has to be him. I think they must have
This
listed
must
him
be a
wrong
mistake.
Labeled
because
it
he's
wrong.
clearly a cowboy.
clearly-
Eastern
Cowboy.
European.
Jones, take Williams and circle around back.
Oh, round back.
Oh, it paused.
Take Williams and circle around back.
Okay,
Oh, it doesn't like that one.
Play.
Cold doesn't work.
No.
But you could hear that was not an Eastern European.
No,
Yeah.
where's the wizard guy? There's
Oh,
like an old
I
guy,
can-
and he's
Atlas.
also
He's
very
called
bad.
Atlas.
Atlas. Okay,
We
let's-
must hold them back.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot allow even one to pass through the gate. Quickly, with me.
It sounds like a
I
gamer
caught the
poop
silly
video.
bugger
Yeah.
trying to make off with a barrel of ale just a fortnight ago.
Doesn't
Oh,
it?
it's
So I
awful.
told
It's so bad.
This is Kaylee. She's American.
So, like, get this. My dad said he would cut me off if I don't, like, get a job.
Like,
Oh.
I mean,
Pav.
like, seriously, doesn't he know how hard I already work?
Yeah.
And that's what they have on their homepage.
Rubbish.
Saying, hey, use our service. It's great.
Yeah.
Now, presumably, when they get, I mean, I don't know how those were created. I don't know if that was data scrapes. That's not very ethical. They may have just had people internally do that. But
Yeah.
like when they get actual voice actors in, it's still not going to sound right because sometimes you see videos on like short form content, whether they be shorts or reels or TikToks or whatever, and they, you know, they're from these content farms. There's a lot of gaming videos like this.
Yeah.
Like I get served sometimes Red Dead Redemption stuff on Facebook, even though I'm not interested in it at all. And it's got this sort of like deep Sam Elliott type voice, and you've probably heard it before, that actually sounds pretty passable. But there's a lot of instances where it sort of goes, or like the octave suddenly changes, or like the sentence comes to an abrupt stop.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound right. I firmly believe that no matter how legitimate they are as a business and how ethical it is that they're doing things, if their AI isn't up to snuff, all of the actors, no matter how good those actors are going to sound like that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Because
they
it's
will.
going to sound rubbish.
I also just think that we've seen so many amazing examples of what voice acting can do to a game and what it really brings to the environment. Like Spider-Man 2, for example. The amount of people that were talking about the NPC voice lines, that were just people that
Yeah.
were just paid to talk in a booth for half an hour and then just smacked into the game in various places. That's so good. I mean, Baldur's Gate has literally hundreds of characters and they're all voiced. They're all different. They all have their own stuff going on. And the way that we could very quickly see these brilliant voices being done by talented people becoming, will you go and rescue my dog? I lost it.
My name is
Please.
Astarion.
Yeah.
I am a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So good.
Give him
Sounds
an
so
award.
real. Yeah.
Cut him off at the Game Awards.
It doesn't give you the opportunity, presumably, doesn't give the opportunity to make that person's voice do it in any kind of different way. I mean, there might be ways to sort of alter the inflection and stuff, but what if you wanted a scene where Joel and Ellie walk into a museum and there's like a man in a kilt or something, and Ellie just jokingly puts on a Scottish accent and goes, "Oh, look out for that clicker," or whatever. She's just having a laugh with Joel or whatever.
Yeah.
How do you get the robot voice that has presumably all American data put into it to like, oh, now just like for one line do a joking Scottish accent?
Yeah.
Or what if a villain is like wearing a hood and until they take their hood off, they don't talk like this all the way through, but then they go, it was me all along.
Yes.
You know, how do you get those sort of interesting
The
creative
nuance.
moments?
Where is
the
the nuance in it?
It won't be. Every line will be spoken the same, and it's going to sound crap.
Yeah.
That's not even the worst thing about it. That's just like the cherry on top of this whole situation is that it's not even good.
No.
It's not even good.
That's how it'll affect the consumer. It's less about how it'll affect the people.
Your games are going to get worse because of this. And good voice actors aren't going to get paid or even used, even if they sign up for this potentially. If you stick me and Peter Austin and Ashton Matthews on a shelf, and then there's Nolan North, who are they going to choose?
Well, if they're voicing a female character, I think it's
Probably still Nolan
I don't
North.
know, maybe Nolan.
They'll put in the / do our woman voice.
Yeah, as a lady.
Yeah. It's not even, I don't know. There's so many problems with this. I would not be shocked if they walk this back within the next few weeks.
We'll have to see.
I hope so, but
Here's hoping. But there we are. That is this week's big discussion, which means it's time, according to our running order, for the outro.
yes.
Thank you so much
Every
for listening,
time you
everybody.
make one spelling error or you make one thing and suddenly everyone's got to bring it up over and over again.
It's good though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Outro.
Yeah.
Peter, where can people find us on the internet?
You can find us at youtube.com and twitch.tv /Team TripleJump. That's where all of our content goes out, our streams on Twitch and our videos on YouTube. And speaking of Twitch, if you've got Amazon Prime and you are paying for that entire package, part of that package is a sub on Twitch. Won't cost you anything extra. You're paying for it right now. You can redeem it on us and get all the usual benefits as though you are a regular Twitch subscriber.
We have Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, on which we are Team TripleJump on all of them. So come check them out. And on Patreon, we are patreon.com /Team TripleJump for all kinds of rewards. Thank you so much for patrons for supporting us.
Yes, thank you, patrons. TripleJ.mup is our website. That's where you can find links to literally everything that we do. And you can find out more information about us if you want to. I don't know, it's all there, though. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms, and we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone who's left us a review. We like you. You're all right.
Yeah, we do.
Peter, can you talk to us about this week's sponsor just one last time?
It's that brand new fighting game. Liam Neeson AI voice will be in there. I will find you. Taken 8. It's going to be good.
Very good.
Taken 8. Fantastic. Thank you so much for listening / watching, everybody. We'll be back in a week's time. Look after yourselves. Bye.